So a little while back, I went to a family event to which I took 2 pies. If you follow me on Instagram, you may remember them. It was my no-fail pumpkin pie and a Dutch apple pie. And since I took those with me, I have been lovingly cajoled, harassed, pleaded with to make another one. Because of the pies I make, it is one of Everett's favorites. So I'm going to show you how to make one so that my husband will leave me alone. To make this pie, you're going to start by turning on your frying pan to a medium heat. I have it on about a 6. And you're gonna add 3 tablespoons of butter. I know this sounds weird. Trust me, it's all the magic is about to happen. Magic, pie sorcery. So we're just gonna let that melt. Now that your butter is melted through the magic of YouTube television, you're gonna start putting in your apples. I told Everett I'm probably gonna have way too many apples for this pie, and that some of these apples will likely be breakfast tomorrow. And you kind of want to stir these around until you're going to lose some of them. That's okay, it's the nature of the beast. You're going to stir them around so they're a little coated with butter. You're just going to kind of let these guys kind of cooked down a little bit. One of the big problems with apple pie is that apple pie gets soggy, especially if you use fresh fruit, and a lot of times people will combat this by sprinkling them with flour, and that's fine. But I find that by cooking out a lot of the water that's in the apple, especially like modern apples, they contain a lot of water, and if you can cook out some of them and reduce it, you don't end up with a gloppy apple pie. I'm going to give a generous sprinkling of about 4 tablespoons of brown sugar to your apples. And what this is going to do is, as you mix it up, it is going to caramelize onto the apple slices. If you're using a sweeter apple, which I have in the past used like a Golden Delicious, it's not my favorite for making apple pie. This is a Granny Smith from my trees outside. The Golden Delicious were also from my outside trees, but anyway. There was a communication error with which apples to pick. The point of this very roundabout way of saying is, if you use a sweeter apple like a Golden Delicious or a Honeycrisp, use less sugar. Cut the sugar by, a tablespoon or even 2. If you notice, the apple juice is actually starting to reduce away. It's starting to boil. We're just going to let this do its thing, and we'll come back. We were really, really fortunate that one of the previous owners planted 4 apple trees. We have 2 Red Delicious, a Granny Smith, and a Golden Delicious apple tree. We also have 2 pear trees, which is kind of nice. We didn't really get very many pears this year. I think we were a little late to the game. Our goal next year is to extend our little orchard by several more trees. We want to throw in some peach trees, a few some cherry trees, since we're in Michigan and Michigan is known for its cherries. And then some more apples. We're going to lean heavily, because I like to bake, we're going to lean heavily into baking and cider apples. Some more of the older varieties, because we just think having a variety to cook with is really, really cool. I'm gonna cook these guys a long time. They're gonna get really soft. See, it's still crunchy. We're going to remove some of these apples, and this sounds crazy. We're gonna remove some of them from the frying pan. And there's a very specific reason for this. I like having apples that are cooked to different consistencies. I like some softer apple. I like some variety to my bite of apple pie. And to our apple frying pan, we're gonna add a sprinkle of allspice, about half a teaspoon of Vietnamese cinnamon. Sorry, it took me a while to find the nutmeg. And we're gonna give it a little sprinkle of nutmeg. I use the Vietnamese cinnamon because it is like bam in your face cinnamon, which is kind of amazing. And this is where we're going to add the flour. We're not going to sprinkle a bunch of raw apples with flour in hopes that like it doesn't get mushy. We're going to add the flour to the frying pan. And that was a little bit much, but about a teaspoon. Okay, that's not a teaspoon, it's a tablespoon. About a tablespoon. We're just gonna kind of mix this around into the apple mixture, and it's going to start thickening up the sauce that has been created. It's kind of like a caramelly sauce. This makes kind of a caramel apple pie. When you're making fruit pies, it is a lot like, you know, regular cooking and not really baking. Fruit pies, it's really just seasoning fruit and cooking it into kind of a syrup, and it's a lot more forgiving than, say, like a French silk pie, which we're going to be making very soon. Okay. Remember the reserved apples? We're throwing those in. If you notice, the sauce that was really watery is now really thick and rich, and it's almost like caramel. It's got the same color, the same texture. It is lovely. It smells really good too. So we're going to remove this from heat and let the residual heat of the frying pan continue to simmer it a little bit. Don't want it to scorch though. And we're going to go over to my prep station and work on part 2. So what makes a Dutch apple pie is its crumbly streusel topping. We've done this before. If you've been watching, you'll remember my Trader Joe's style pancake bread with the crumbly streusel topping. It's a little drier streusel topping. This is more of a buttery streusel topping, but the principle's about the same. You're gonna start with a cup, a level cup of all-purpose flour. And then we're gonna take a half a cup, 4 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, not half a cup, it's a quarter of a cup of cubed butter. We're going to add 4 tablespoons of, which probably is a quarter of a cup as well, of packed brown sugar. I was really sad, you guys. I went to the grocery store today and they did not have my favorite dark brown sugar. I don't know what I'm gonna do about this. It feels like the world is all cattywampus and wrong. Baker problems. At least there's flour. We went through a period of time where you couldn't get King Arthur up here, and that was really sad. And then you're going to give a generous sprinkle of nutmeg. I'd say about a quarter of a teaspoon. Sorry, that was cinnamon. We're gonna give a little more. We're gonna give about a half teaspoon of that. Quarter teaspoon of the nutmeg, and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of the allspice. And I'm going to realize that my pastry knife is in the washing machine. And we're just gonna start mushing everything together. Chop up all the butter. Generally, I think a pretty good ratio of fat to flour with crumble topping is about a 2-to-1, 2 flour to 1 fat ratio. But if you find that your streusel topping is looking really dry and sad, add some more fat. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little more fat to this by putting in a tablespoon of coconut oil. So I prepared to make this pie by mixing up a pie crust yesterday. I then let it chill overnight, brought it out today, let it warm up to room temperature, rolled it out, put it in the pan, crimped the edges, gave a nice little perforation into the bottom here, and then let it chill for another couple hours. This is supposed to help with shrinkage, which is a major problem that I've had with my pie crusts. They're delicious, they're pretty, they taste good, and then they shrink. So hopefully we'll have minimal shrinkage this time. You can see the pie filling is pretty much perfect. Just kind of spread it around in there. gonna lose those apples over the side because you need them. It's cool enough that I can handle the apples. Looks good. All right, bring on the streusel topping. I'm just gonna kind of crumble that on there. Make sure all of the apple pieces are put to bed. Use your fingers, it's okay. And now it's all gonna go into the oven. I've been preheating the oven to 350 this is before I start cooking the apples. So it's ready to go. We're gonna put this in for about 45 minutes, but we'll come back and check on it, make sure it's not like over cooking. One other piece of critical pie making hardware is the sunscreen. It's a pie crust shield. It prevents your pie from getting overly done on the edges because sometimes they cook too much. It just sits here on the edge, on top of your crust, and keeps it from burning. So we're gonna let that go. We'll come back and check on it in a little bit. So it's about 45 minutes later. I just pulled this out of the oven. The top is crispy. The pie crust is perfect. There was no shrinkage, except for a little bitty bit right there, but I know what went wrong. So I'm pretty pleased overall with the way this pie turned out. Hopefully Everett likes it too. I'm going to let this pie cool so I can feed my hungry husband. And if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. Again, I should probably say this at the beginning of the video, but I don't. I forget. It's the ADHD. It's a really good pie recipe, guys. Give it a shot. And until next time, I'm gonna drink my sleepy time tea, and you guys take care of yourselves.